everybody. This is Escalade Stamus from Gearworks.com, back with another episode of Gearworks Take on News, my short-form audio and video podcast series where I pick out 3 news stories in either games or tech that have caught my eye during the day and give you my own personal rundown as well as a bit of my own assessment. So over the next few months, the next quarter basically, you may see an increase in terms of content and its lean towards covering technology versus gaming. I'll still be doing short videos covering gaming news, but I'm definitely going to start intermixing that with some takes on the world of technology as well. So this is an unscripted episode, so please bear with me if I fumble a little bit, because I have not scripted or pre-recorded or done anything on these topics. I just kind of tab them in my browser to go through. So first up today is about... I should also mention that this particular show's format may run a bit long because there are 2 key topics that I definitely want to cover today in a little lengthier format than normal because I want to enter my opinions for the record on some topics concerning the First Amendment and social media sites, as well as some cautionary tales of VPN utilization and how it actually works from an operational perspective, given all the hubbub about the government and their repealing of the FCC terms that would have not allowed companies to sell our personal data without our express permission. So first up today, we're going to talk about Twitter ditching the default egg profile photos because they're tied to negative behavior. This is an article that was run on Consumerist. So as you might have heard, Twitter has determined that the anonymous profile pictures that used to come up by default, which was a little egg, are typically found to be associated with bad actors. And not just people harassing. These are also the default photos that you typically see from spammers who just follow you so that they can push you ads and offers. So this is a little kind of chicken before the egg or egg before the chicken, depends on how you look at it. What they have done is they have simply replaced the egg with a unisex kind of profile of a human being. And I'm not really sure what that actually does to prevent negative behavior. It should kind of cue you in and alert you to the notion that a person who might be liking your tweets or retweeting them or DMing you might just be somebody who's either doing it to push you ad information or that it's a negative comment, but I don't really understand how it's going to deter behavior. So one thing that might be a little more forceful is if they would kind of flag those accounts with those default pics, or maybe limit the freedom or the ability for those people to reach out and touch somebody who has not already cleared them to post content in their Twitter stream. I don't know if that's how far they're going to take it, but that's what they're doing. They're eliminating the egg and applying an anonymous unisex kind of head or avatar. So that's just a head and a body beneath it. I should have normally read the headline for this as well. So the headline on this on Consumerist or the opener is that if you want to harass your fellow internet denizens on Twitter, you'll have to do it without the cover of an anonymous egg in your profile photo. The social media site says it's doing away with its default avatar, partly because it's become associated with online harassment and other bad behaviors. But like I said, I don't really see, as I scroll down through the article, that they're going to change how they deal with people who have this default photo in their profile for an extended period of time. So that is that story. The expanded discussion that I wanted to have on this is that, frequently when this comes up in the media and journalists cover it, personal bloggers, what have you, there's this discussion that people are going to have their feathers ruffled because of their First Amendment rights being being sundered in these types of policies. And I just want to say that, because I've been meaning to register this opinion for some time, that you have no First Amendment rights on a social media site. You have no guaranteed First Amendment rights when you are submitting content via a platform that is being provided to you as a service, in particular when that service is being provided for free. What you do have to protect yourself, really not to protect you, but it's more a matter of protecting the company, is what you have done is you have signed up for a terms of use, which is kind of analogous to a EULA or licensing agreement that prescribes what you're allowed to do with that service on that site via that infrastructure that is being provided to you free of charge. So you don't, it's, Twitter and Facebook and Google have no obligation to provide you a platform using their own personal funds for you to promulgate whatever message it is that you want to try and get out into the air, particularly when that message is either hate or anti-hate or however you want to look at it. There's no guaranteed, mandated, regulated, legal compliance required for them to offer you that platform. What you have done is you have signed an agreement constraining and specifying what types of content you're allowed to post to their service, and when you step outside of that agreement, you are restricted, and your account can either be deleted or your content can be pulled down. I'm also 99% sure that most of those terms of use also specify that they have the right to change the details of those agreements without advance notice before they take action against any content that you have already posted in the past that violate the updated terms. Most of these companies, as a matter of doing good business, have gone to a stance where they do try and inform you in advance or concurrently as they're updating those terms. So just a heads up, once again, you don't have any right to post whatever you want to on a site that somebody else is providing to you for free. So going on to the next topic, get a lifetime subscription to VPN Unlimited for just $39. This is a article that was posted on iMore, and what they mention here is that the internet is becoming increasingly risky, and many people aren't taking the precautions necessary to protect their data and ultimately themselves. Using a VPN to protect yourself is never a bad idea, but free services are often unreliable, slow, and unsafe. What you need is an affordable VPN service with a proven track record to keep your data private while you browse the internet. You have several devices, so you need it to work on multiple platforms, and you need servers close to you so you don't suffer from slow speeds. Now, specifically via iMore, they have a partnership with a solution called VPN Unlimited, where you can pay once a single lifetime subscription fee of $39, and then you will have access to that service supposedly for life or as long as the service is in existence. And then they have an offer code that you can use to order the service and get it at that price. It's also available at a 3-year subscription fee of $19 in case for some reason you don't want to pay the extra $20 to sign up for the unlimited service. Now, I personally utilize Private Internet Access, or PIA, which is also a service that is usable across all platforms. I use it on Android, iOS, OS 10, on Mac, as well as Windows 10. So, and it pretty much provides service that locks down all of my communications traffic. So here's the second expanded discussion that I want to have on the second topic. VPN definitely has an impact when you convert over to utilizing that as part of your internet communications solution. Number one, what you're going to see is there are websites and companies that don't like it when they see you trying to connect via a proxy. Now, as far as I know, I don't know of any other way that you would connect through over VPN without using a proxy. In the past, companies didn't necessarily look for this flag that I believe is something that comes across in the URL header. I'm not positive, but something in some packet flags that the source of the communication is via something other than the actual originating endpoint. So, for instance, Netflix may not be able to necessarily tell all of the metadata around your communications, but they can tell that you are connecting from a proxy, and that is when they will not allow you to connect. I have, and it ranges from everything from critical websites that you need to get to very mundane websites that you need to get to. On the mundane end, I have a gaming club that I'm a member of, and for whatever reason, that server doesn't like to see me connecting from a proxy, and even though it will accept my username and password, will not pass me through onto the forums. Now, that's not that big an impact. I'm not as concerned that my data traffic be sniffed while I'm connecting to that gaming website, but the point is that when I terminate that VPN connection and shift to an unencrypted connection, everything that I'm connecting to via that session is now unencrypted. So it impacts not only my traffic to that site, but my traffic to everything, because as far as I know, and I could be wrong, PIA, at least for the solution I use, doesn't have a means for me to make those connections discrete and to say connect over VPN via a browser and a specific site, and then not connect over VPN to some other site. The impact of this can get more serious, and as a good, for instance, when I utilize that VPN solution, one of the things that I like to do is I like to also mask where I'm connecting from. So PIA, and I think most of these VPN solutions, not only encrypt your connection, but they also can show that that your connection is originating from a different geographic location. So, for instance, when I use PIA, I can show that I am connecting from Singapore or Europe, Britain, Africa, Brazil, and that's what I typically like to do because in case my traffic is being looked at least from a metadata perspective or a connection perspective, I like to represent that I'm not actually where I am. And so as a result of that, for instance, I have had a financial institution that has locked my account because they said, hey, we observed over a number of weeks that your account was being accessed from various geographic locations, both from your mobile phone and app, as well as from the desktop. To further, communicate how these flags get set off, because I'm a technology blogger and I cover technology topics and do reviews, I utilize lots of different devices. So, another reason that they locked it down is they saw those connections coming from different smartphones and tablets and PCs. So my point is that you're definitely going to start to butt up against the conflict that exists between being as secure as you possibly can be versus convenience. And in some cases, you're just not going to be able to connect to financial institutions over VPN. You're not necessarily going to be able to stream all of your media from all your services over VPN. I've encountered workflow problems, for instance, when I connect and spoof from a different geographic location, and that sets what content I get presented in YouTube, for instance. At a minimum, things will happen like your browser will come up in the language of that geographic location, and you'll have to get in and finagle with your browser to get it to show English content. So, those are just some of the issues you run into. So don't go down the VPN path thinking that it's going to be super easy and no impact. You're definitely going to have to figure out how to adjust your workflow to integrate it with your daily life. That all being said, I definitely agree with utilizing a VPN solution. In my personal life, in terms of finances, gaming, publishing, again, that's an impact because when I connect to Squarespace from certain locations, you're going to see connection integrity and latency and performance based on connecting from that location. Certain places around the world have great internet infrastructure and some don't, and you will definitely see that when you reroute through a different location and come out of the VPN tunnel on the other side of the world. So you're going to have to make adjustments to make that work with your workflow. You're going to have to make adjustments to maintain the pace of life that you want. Another, for instance, is I use a podcasting app to download podcasts in the morning. And when I have my phone locked through VPN, those downloads can be horrifically slow. So many is the time that I wake up in the morning with the VPN connection set, but I have to disable it to simply download all my podcasts before I get on the road. So you're going to have to make an adjustment. It's not a bad idea to do. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the predominance of media, which is kind of creating this the sky is falling kind of perspective. The truth of the matter is that FCC Act had not been implemented yet, so Your ISP has had access to cellular data without your permission anyway. I'm not sure exactly when it was going to be implemented, and even despite this repealing of that act, they still have to provide you the option to opt out of it. So if you listen to, I think, Tech News Today, Jason Howell mentioned how he has gone through this. It is an onerous process. They do try to make it incredibly difficult. But they do have, your ISP does have the requirement to provide you the ability to opt out. I will definitely say subscribing to a VPN service is easier than trying to opt out of it based on Jason's description of that effort. So, final story, a new Blackberry Tablet may be on the way running Android built by a partner. BlackBerry released its first and last tablet in 2011. The BlackBerry Playbook had hardware that was virtually identical to the original Amazon Kindle Fire tablet, but it was more than twice the price of Amazon's tablet and featured a new tablet-friendly version of the BlackBerry operating system instead of an Android-based OS. Speaking during the latest company earnings call, BlackBerry CEO John Chen said the company is getting ready to expand its licensing to include things like tablets and Internet of Things products that would use the BlackBerry brand and use BlackBerry security features and other apps and services. And he mentioned that the vendor who was probing them for licensing rights to do this was very excited to build a tablet based on Android, and so they wanted us to give them the portfolio rights to do that. Now, this story caught my eye because I was a BlackBerry Playbook owner, despite the generally negative take on that device by the media. I found that once you had it up and running and had kind of sought through, admittedly, a kind of large trash pile of apps in the BlackBerry store, it was a very good solution for me for productivity, and in particular, I used it as my tablet and note-taking solution at work for a period of time, and I liked it actually more than my Android tablets at the time. Didn't like it more than using an iPad at work, but I did like it more than Android. So I'm pretty excited to see how this comes out. I liked the Playbook's kind of unique form factor in the forest of tablets that were available at the time. I thought it was kind of unique and a little more portable, a little more maneuverable in situations where I was stopping at somebody's desk to have a conversation. It was just an easier tablet to kind of stand up and tap type on than, say, a large form factor iPad, because remember back at that point there was not an iPad mini. So I found it pretty enjoyable. So I'm excited just to kind of see what this vendor does in terms of implementing a BlackBerry Playbook-like solution. So that is all the news I wanted to run down this afternoon. I'll put in a plug for the site, gearworks.com. That's gearwerkz.com. Most recent posts over there have been pretty frequent, so there's an article over there today about the big gaming releases coming out this week, including Bulletstorm, Lego, I think it's Lego City Undercover, as well as Rise, which is a game that's going to be free on Xbox Games for Gold, and Assassin's Creed Revelations. There's an op-ed piece about giving the industry a chance to figure out workspace continuity, so that was prompted by the release this past week of Samsung's DeX solution for the Samsung Galaxy S8. There is a post on cheap audio upgrades centered around the Logitech Z506 Surround Sound 5.1 speaker system. After Action, which is my roll-up of all my gaming content that I post on the YouTube channel, Rounding Off Infinity, where I had been playing some Gran Turismo 6, which was kind of a release that got buried because it came out on the PlayStation 3 a month after the PlayStation 4 released, as well as gaming diary entries that go along with that. There's also a review of the John Flood Volume 1 trade paperback that came out a couple of weeks ago. The Weapons Locker, I'm doing a roundup of gaming peripherals that I'd recommend you take a look at if, kind of like me, as you get into the spring, and you want to be geared up for the summer gaming releases and a bit of time off and vacation. I know I kind of start looking around at desktop peripherals to upgrade, and I've done the first post in that series, which covers gaming mice. So that's over there. I've also posted my thoughts so far on The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and a review of the Assignment trade paperback, which collects issues 1, 2, and 3 of that comic book by, I think, Walter Hill. And that comic book, those comic books and that trade paperback are actually the basis for the movie The Assignment, which just came out in February, starring Sigourney Weaver and Michelle Rodriguez. So that's going to do it for this episode of GearWorks Take on News. Thanks so much for anybody who drops by and checks out the archive on either the YouTube channel or Facebook. Please feel free to drop by the website or the YouTube channel and like, dislike, provide some feedback as appropriate, anything that you think you would prefer to see or that I can improve on. And also feel free on the YouTube channel to subscribe or subscribe to the website's RSS feed. Thanks a lot. My name has been Agasicles Stamus. That's going to do it for me today, and I am out of here.